as the presented agenda.
Move to approve the agenda?
Okay, got a motion by Rick Seiler. I will second that to approve the agenda. Does anyone have any questions, any changes? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Anyone have any questions or anything that needs to be clarified in any items in the consent agenda? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion by Maggie Bass, second by Rick Seiler to approve the consent agenda as presented. If there's no other questions or any questions or concerns, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay, passes 5-0. Next, we're going to go on to the public forum. We have two people that would like to speak at this time. First on the list is Dennis Teets, the Sewer County Commissioner.
Mayor,
What, second one? Are you in what?
District 1, so Dennis Teets, County Commissioner, District 1, which is southern city limits of New Prague, Lanesburg Township, and the city of Heidelberg. Just give you guys a couple updates what's going on in the county. As you got in front of you a map of Lanesburg Township. You can see the city of New Prague, or the southern half of the city of New Prague is shaded in gray. We had Bolton and Mink come in and give us their professional opinion on what they think should be in Lanesburg Township, what would be good for the community for residential, which is highlighted in yellow. You can see around the city of New Prague, it's highlighted in yellow, but there's dark black slashes. That's because of your future city limits, so we probably won't be touching any of that. The yellow is, like I said, the residential, the red would be industrial. This is just a proposal. Tomorrow, we start our workshops on this. And then a week from tomorrow, we have our public hearing on that, hear from citizens in the county for the whole county, not just Lanesburg Township. If you guys see anything that's concerning or of interest, you can either get a hold of me or Aaron Stubbs, who's leading this up with the county. Also, a very, very hot topic, I know I talked about this before. In 2025, legislature passed that the whole state of Minnesota could go to rifle. However, they're giving each county the opportunity to adopt an ordinance to stay with slugs if so. Lee Sewer County, all of Lee Sewer County right now is slugs currently. For us to go to maintain the slugs, we have to have a public hearing. If we do absolutely nothing, then it's state law, it goes to rifle.
And this is to clarify, is this for deer hunting solely?
I'm sorry, yes, deer hunting.
Okay.
Thank you, Maggie. We decided we are gonna have a public hearing, not because we already have our minds made up that we're gonna go to slugs, but we've had a lot of phone calls, both for going to rifle and for staying to slug. So that date is March 19th at 6:30. That's at our new government center, the EOC. You can also go online. That public hearing notice should be coming out here shortly. Some more updates. Back in 1943, the state of Minnesota decided to go to slugs mainly because of the deer population was so low. And people wanted to increase the deer herd, so they wanted people to have more of a challenge to shoot the deer. At that time, the research I've done, and I think the other commissioners, it wasn't a safety issue. We also got feedback that right now you can hunt deer with a pistol. You can fox hunt with the rifle. You can coyote hunt with the rifle, which is totally legal in our area right now. So if someone went out tonight, they could be using a rifle, coyote or fox hunting. We can change this every year to year. However, if I decide I want to go to rifle, again, I'm only one of 5. I don't plan on ever going back because you're gonna have people buying rifles, getting rid of their slugs, and then I don't think that would be a good thing. What I know is Scott County right now, well, I should say as of about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, is not having a public hearing, meaning they are probably gonna go to rifle. Blue Earth County, they are not planning on having a public meeting. Rice County is up in the air. They're thinking about having a public hearing, kind of like us, and Waseca County. We have to let the DNR know by May 1st just because of the DNR synopsis that comes out. You know, the booklet, so that's why we want to do this March 19th, and then we'll be acting on it probably 2 or 3 weeks at our regular Tuesday meetings. For me, I would say I've been keeping track. I went to the Sportsman Club Thursday meeting. It's about 80-20. 80% of the people want to keep it slugs. I'm listening to my constituents, so right now, if I would, I guess, have a say, I would keep it slugs. I can't say that for all the commissioners. I think we're gonna have, it's gonna be a close vote, to be honest with you, just because we're more on the southern metro area. Also going on, we just finished up our ROBs for ditches. That was not so much fun, but we got it done.
Can you please clarify ROB?
Reclaim of benefits for ditches. Yeah, reclaiming of benefits or, yeah, sorry. So, yeah, basically telling people whether they're getting assessed for ditches and the watershed and all that. Any questions?
No. I don't think anyone have a
I would
question.
highly encourage, I know there's a lot of people that watch online or listen online or go back. Even if you're not in my area, get a hold of your commissioners if you have a big decision on this, because they are listening what you have to say. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay. Next on the list is Brian Paulson.
Hello, Brian Paulson, 206 4th Street Southwest. Thanks for placing the flock on tonight's agenda, the flock cameras. I'm following up on just the previous meeting that we talked about it, and I guess you had mentioned that it would be discussed more in depth at this meeting, so I appreciate that. And my previous request, to reiterate, was the public search audit feature for the transparency portal. The portal is already live. It automatically shows policies like what the cameras detect and prohibit and aggregate stats, like how many vehicles are scanned and the hot list hits. However, the public search audit is not enabled. This is a downloadable log of individual searches. Enabling the public search audit would ease public concerns and clearly demonstrate that the department is operating fully within the law. Residents could see for themselves that every search meets the statute's strict standard, building trust and showing proactive compliance. A month ago, I submitted a data request for the audit logs. It took 10 days for a response that misinterpreted my request and completed the request, requiring me to do a new one. Something that I clarified in person in an email, having to submit a follow-up request with clear instructions from a flock user manual. It's gone 2 weeks now, still unfulfilled. This manual process is cumbersome and time-consuming for both sides. Enabling the public search audit on the portal would automate access to this public information, eliminating delays and staff effort for simple requests. Enabling this feature is a one-time task. Once on, Flock updates it automatically every night on a 30-day rolling basis with no human involvement or manual pulls. It costs nothing extra and reduces delays like the month-long and counting for my recent audit logs requests. Other Minnesota agencies like Wyoming Police Department, as I mentioned, have enabled this feature, providing self-serve access without manual requests. There's no good reason not to enable the public search audit on our portal. It makes transparency immediate and easy for everyone. I urge you to direct the police department to enable the public search audit feature immediately. That's a low effort way to strengthen accountability, save staff time, and build public trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who's not on the list like to speak at this time? Okay, if not, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, but is public hearings. We have none. The city engineering updates, I think its view, really isn't any change from the last meeting that I'm aware of, but does anyone have any questions on the list that was provided in your packet?
I guess my concern is the 2024 street and utility project, why the contractor's not responsive and how the bonding agency is supposedly stepping in. What kind of assistance are they providing? Because this is at least the third or fourth month, or meeting rather, that we've seen the same comments. So what kind of progress is being made, if any?
Well, I think our retention, right, don't we
So yeah,
retain?
usually we retain funds at that point and or call on the bonding agency, because we require almost like an insurance from these companies before they enter into a project. I can certainly check with Matt. I know something came up tonight and he wasn't able to make it, so I can check with Matt and get you guys an answer on where exactly the progress is with that.
Okay, and so if we retain these dollars, then who eventually is gonna complete the 2024 project?
So it's the idea being that if for some reason an agency has to get these dollars from the bonding agency, then we would just be responsible. We'd get the dollar amount we need to complete the project.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
In this case, it's mostly grass and
I don't think there's anything like giant and huge, like they didn't put a street in. It's a lot of just small things that we shouldn't accept the project until they have fully completed it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
No, I'm gonna need a point of personal privilege for the bathroom.
Okay,
There's a little on there, you can keep going.
okay.
I recommend we take a break.
Okay, we will take a break for a couple minutes. Rick takes care of himself and,
This thing is really fast, guys.
I'll take a break. I will shoot Matt a text and see if he's available.
okay.
Going to announce it. Taking a break.
We're taking a break at, what do I got, 6:13? A few minutes and then we'll reconvene. take till
Thank you
January.
all.
I don't
I'm
care if you
back.
enter 'em in December. You can use December 31st, but you gotta tell the system that it's not to hit, it's,
No, if you pay it on December 31st, that's the date you paid it.
but they didn't pay him December 31st.
Oh, okay,
They were in the AP in January,
okay,
at least the golf course instance was.
okay.
Okay, we're back in action here. It will reconvene at 6:17. And we're gonna kind of go back to the city engineering projects update. And
Yes, I did.
Josh got an update.
I was able to get a hold of Matt Rinda. He did state that, I guess as a city, we are expecting some sort of timeline and or schedule from them about when they will be completing this stuff in early spring. And if we're either not happy with the schedule they give us or they don't provide us with one at that point, we've kind of filled in the attorneys and we'll be looking at taking that route to get the bonding money to take care of the project ourselves.
Thanks for the update.
Is that SEH that's doing the bird dogging on that then? Are they following up with?
As of right now, yes, SEH is the one that's kind of doing that for us.
Okay,
As our contracted city engineer, yes.
all right. Do they come up with a date that, okay, the line has been crossed, we want the bond money now?
I think, yeah, Chris and Matt have been in discussions about that, so I didn't get the exact, he just said early spring.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Okay, next, we have ordinance for introduction, we have none. Ordinances for adoption, we have none. Resolutions, we have none. So we're on item 10. General business. I assume, Ken, are you gonna take this, our annual community development reports?
I will. I'll kind of run through everything and I'll jump back and forth a little bit. And I'm going to give a high level overview. If you have questions, feel free to stop me along the way. But what we do every year at the first meeting in February is provide an update on vacant lots, businesses that have changed in town, and then our building permit stats. And I did add in a rental license map so you could see where that program is at after our first 2-year cycle of licenses. So we'll go over that briefly, but I want to start with the gross stats, which are really the building permit statistics. So obviously we've are down this year, or in 2025, I should say, for single-family home construction. We only had 3 new homes issued in all of 2025. That's down from 10 in 2024. Obviously, the corresponding value was also down, as well as the average new construction home value is down as well. But one of the bright spots, we did obviously have the 54-unit multifamily apartment building constructed with 8.6 in valuation compared to $0 in the prior year and actually many years prior. So that was a positive for 2025. Commercial and industrial permits, we were down a little bit in the actual number and down about 1.5 million roughly in the valuation from 2024 to 2025. However, that was still in the top 5 within the past 15 years, so still a very good year. We had a number of larger projects, including a new building for Heartline Credit Union, which is under construction in front of Coborn's, a 20,000 square foot addition to Great River Energy in the industrial park, and then a roughly 10,000 square foot building for BevCom in the industrial park, just to name a few. Public permits, we were down in the number of those. However, we were up greatly on the value of public permits, which in the grand scheme of things that are not taxable is really irrelevant. However, it was our 15-year high for the value on those permits for public permits. So that was led obviously by the New Prague Police Station addition, then followed thereafter by a couple of projects at Falcon Ridge Elementary and a new roof at Raven Stream Elementary, and then smaller projects at Mayo Clinic Hospital, not including the oncology addition, which the state maintained the control of that permitting for that project as they are able to do that. And then the POPS facility was permitted in 2025, and then finally some ballpark-related updates for ball field dugouts at basically the Memorial Park softball/baseball fields, not Memorial Stadium. And then at Memorial Stadium, we had the German deck to complement the Czech deck that was already built at the site there. So just another platform for viewing. And obviously it'll be taken advantage of at the state tournament here later in 2016. So overall, it was still a very busy year. Just the single-family home construction was down. If you have any questions on that, otherwise I was kind of going to jump into the vacant lot inventory, I believe is the next item on the agenda.
Ken,
And,
have you heard how the occupancy of the apartment building has been going?
No, I have not had an update from them. I will definitely check on that and can provide that to you. I know when we did the rental inspections, as we do for all of our other rental units, they indicated things were going well, but even at that point, late last year, we did not have any specific number, but I'll see if I can get that for the council. Regarding the vacant lot inventory, if I can get my map to actually pull up here.
Can we get this pulled up?
Oh, yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bear with my computer here. It's a little sluggish. So we're going to start with the vacant commercial property listing. So really only one lot was built on that was on the inventory last year, and that was the Heartland Credit Union lot. I don't think you can really see my pointer up there hardly, but that was the only lot that came off the inventory. Other than that, we have a smattering of various sized lots throughout kind of our commercial corridor along Main Street that are still available. Some of them are not necessarily for sale, but they are vacant, but we just point that out that they are obviously vacant commercial lots. So one near Raven Stream, one kind of by the West Quick Trip in the B3 zoning, one that Palmer Welcome owns kind of off 5th Street Southwest and Trunk Highway 1321, and then everything else is out by basically that Colborn's stretch of land out there. So again, kind of a good variety that we have right now. We've talked that, things look to be moving forward for a potential commercial development on the east side of Alton Avenue with that annexation petition that we received, but everything on that's kind of on hold until we get that Alton Avenue realignment study completed, which is about 2 months out at this point. So that's a commercial property listing. Next one is industrial. We did not include, because they're kind of under a pending sale, the 2 remaining lots in the industrial park that the city is selling. So that basically leaves 76 acres that we've got labeled as number 2 on the map on the overhead. And then lot number 1 is just about an acre lot north of the fire station, police station area, right on the corner of Trunk Highway 21 and 6th Street Northwest. So that is what we have for vacant lots for industrial. And then finally, the residential. So we basically have 21 lots overall. This does include some multifamily out near Raven Stream Elementary that we've talked on and off, about a 5-acre parcel that has been openly on the market for multifamily. The Latter-day Saints Church does have some land that's not on the market, but we list as just vacant land. And then the single-family lots are very, very tough to come by. There's a smattering kind of throughout town that are owned by adjacent lot owners, aren't on the market. At any given time, there's maybe 8 to 10 single-family lots on the market in total. We have had quite a bit of interest from potential land developers for residential lot development. Obviously, nothing at this point has risen to the level of any applications, so nothing we can publicly note at this point, but I've mentioned previous times with our comp plan update, we do continue to have a very good supply of land available for development, including land both within city limits, which would be in the Raven Stream neighborhood out near Raven Stream Elementary that could get a permit in here tomorrow and people could get going on platting and actually getting homes built out there. And then some other land that's on the market, which we've referred to as the Bezick property on the northeast side of town, north of 7th Street Northeast. And then another chunk of property kind of in the southwest corner of town off First Avenue that was platted initially back in 2020 as Tukalski Estates. And that land is still available for development and was annexed and rezoned at that time. So we do have a number of potential sites for commercial, or residential development, and hopefully we can get some movement on that. But we definitely have had far more discussion on the background of all of these sites that we have in the past 5 years combined. So hopefully that'll lead to actual platting of lots. And then moving on to our commercial building audit. I don't have a map for this one, but I'll just put the memo up here on the overhead. So we track every year kind of the ongoings in all of our industrial, commercial, and even we'll say public ongoings in town. And we usually compare to the prior year. So we did have 14 new business openings in 2025 compared to 11 the prior year. That is either new business startups or businesses moving into New Prague. So something that had not been in New Prague previously. So that's a good sign that that is on the uptick. We did have 32 business closings and changes. I will note most of them are changes and had only 26 last year. So definitely more activity on that front. That could mean a business actually closing their doors, moving out of town, but more likely, and we'll run over a few, is businesses that were in town that basically maybe moved a location, expanded, or some other improvement to their business in New Prague. And then finally, vacancies are down to 23 total vacancies compared to 31 last year. So that's another good metric to point out. But some new businesses that we had open up in 2025 included Brickside 19. That was obviously vacated by Smoke and Fire Restaurant prior. Nison's Corner Bar 2 downtown had been a vacant former bar building for a few years. The Bros Event Center was basically a new business that opened up in what had been a wedding venue, but a new business to New Prague. Berg Direct Primary Care at 314 East Main Street. Fancy Bones Pet Grooming, that opened in the former mill at 200 2nd Avenue Southeast. Bohemia Flats apartment building we put on there, even though it's not technically a business, it does obviously employ people to run that, so we do include that in our totals here. Then Case Aesthetics opened in another vacant space on Main Street near the library. Other notable changes were, we'll just note a few of them here. 2FC Tactical obviously did a major expansion and investment at the former mill. Bargain Lodge moved from their location across the street on the north side of Main Street. Kubish Furniture and Flooring, you've obviously seen the improvements they made to the exterior of that location. Great River Energy that I mentioned before, the 20,000 square foot addition. Heartland Credit Union, new building. Wells Fargo made a bunch of improvements internally and externally on their building. Starlight Productions was able to move back into their original location that had been vacated due to a fire at the old theater building. And then Cedar Press Coffee has new ownership downtown, and they're looking at doing further improvements to that location as well. So a lot of activity, kind of smaller permits and that type of thing coming in from a lot of these changes, typically remodeling and other code compliance issues that we have to deal with. And exciting to see a lot of that happening, particularly in the downtown area, and to keep everything generally full and viable in the downtown area. So overall, another good year, and it's kind of fun to look back from year to year and see where we're at. And you can look on the actual listing in the packet, goes back for a 5-year time period, but we've been tracking that going back to about 2001. So if you ever want to see that, and it's pretty fun to look back over 25 years how things have changed, and actually how some businesses did not change during that time. So I can always email that out if you'd like to look at that as well. Final map that I'll put up on the overhead here, and I'll try to skip ahead to get to that rental map. So as I noted, we do have the 2-year time period that wrapped up at the end of 2025 for our rental license program. And that is what led to the creation of this map in the packet for those 470 units. I did want to note that it does not include places like Malastrana, including both the assisted living or the memory care type units, or anything at Prague Village. Those are licensed and inspected by another agency that is at a state or a federal level. Also does not include Mill Pond or Phillips Square, which again are larger complexes but are inspected by other agencies. So it tracks pretty well from what we had been tracking on our rental registration leading up to our inspection program. And speaking with our building official on how the inspections have gone, I think, initially there was a lot of trepidation on property owners and renters and how the process would go. But by and large, we've actually gotten a lot of compliments from both tenants and landlords on it being a pretty easy process. We're looking for life safety issues, and ultimately haven't run into any, really troublesome issues that couldn't be pretty easily or pretty inexpensively resolved. A lot of missing smoke detectors, CO detectors, some occasional issues with sticking windows for fire escapes, that type of thing. But I think the other thing that some landlords have mentioned, that it's a good way that they can keep an eye on their property on a more regular basis, whereas prior to the inspection ordinance, they maybe wouldn't go on a property for 5-10 years if they have a tenant that pays their rent on time and continues to outwardly look like they're being a good tenant. So overall, I think it's a good start to that program, and we're basically working on inspections for that next cycle here early in the winter. And then we'll have another set. We've broken them up between each county, if you remember, part of them on 1 year, and then the next year we go to the other county to get those units done. So again, everything pretty much concentrated, we'll just say generally closer in the near the downtown area, but there are some few exceptions to that in we'll say newer homes in the community, but mostly older homes near the downtown. So
I'm sorry if you said this, but what is our compliance with people getting the license?
So we have had, depending on how you look at it, a little bit of difficulty on the final few people that are not understanding why we have the ordinance. And we've had to actually have our city attorney send some letters out. I think we did 20 letters here in December to kind of get the final few property owners to gain compliance. I think we're down to 3 as of late last week. So if we need to, we don't want to, but they could be cited for operating a rental unit without a license. But I think we'll gain compliance in those final few here before we get to that point. So
Sounds like maybe those 20 didn't necessarily say they're not going to do it, it's just they wanted to be educated.
correct.
into it.
Yep. And we've had some people that honestly have had family within their rental unit, and that is one of the exceptions. So getting some of the information on who they are and making sure that they fit that compliance criteria to not have to get a rental inspection for relatives. So
Is there a form for that you proactively can send it? Or?
no, they do have a checkbox that they can check on the application, and then it says supply additional information. And I think a lot of people just haven't, been forthright with providing the follow-up information. So
Is that all online then, too?
we do not have that process online yet. We are working to get that all online.
Okay.
So with that, that's kind of the annual reports that I have for the year.
Anyone have any questions for Ken?
It's a lot of information. I appreciate everyone that's involved in getting it put together, especially the business follow-up is a lot of work.
Yeah, and I should thank Evan Garapi, our planner, and Brooke Stika at the chamber as well for helping get the inventory of the businesses kind of put together for the year. So it's a lot of work.
Okay, awesome. Next item, golf board request. Josh, you wanna take that?
Yeah, I can kind of kick it off real quick, but Kurt Ruling is certainly here too. So, as you read in the memo, at its meeting in late December, the golf board discussed and then voted unanimously by those present to recommend Jess Trevino have her pay increase from $20.40 an hour to $25 an hour. She currently works as the food and beverage manager for the golf course. So just as some quick background, here in 25, the city did do a compensation study, which placed a scale of $12 an hour for step one and $20.40 an hour for step 15 in place for part-time employees. As far as Ms. Pickle, our finance director, and I can tell, this is kind of the first time we've really broken it down for part-time employees as well as full-time. And the golf board's current request now is to move Ms. Trevino out of that $25 an hour. So I kind of spelled out that I'm not opposed to certainly increasing the pay of someone who brings value to the city, especially in a position where it's a sales-driven department. With increased sales mean increased revenue. As I discussed in the memo, certainly something to consider is whether even moving this position to a full-time position, but I know myself talking to Kurt about that, he didn't know if there was enough work to fully pull that off. So I will actually move this over to Kurt, I know, to kind of talk about the position. If you want to step up to the mic and or with the mayor being on the golf board, he can kind of talk about it from that angle too, since it was their, kind of their request and recommendation, so.
All right, thanks. My name's Kurt Reeling. I'm the management contract holder for the New Prague Golf Club, general manager there. Actually celebrating 15 years and 2 days in the position. So, yeah, I just I wanted to thank, first of all, I just wanted to thank you guys going through that comp study, because it's very helpful for new hires. What I am bringing to this meeting is this Jess Trevino. She performs numerous roles, and I don't know that they were all like brought together to do the study on. I think pieces of them were, which I believe the framework covers perfectly. But not only does she just coordinate the food and beverage, she's also the chef. She prepares everything too. In the past, we've either had a caterer assist with that or another part-time staff member. She is also exclusively manages the bar as well, which we have always had a second staff member assist with her experience. And we met. She's going to oversee our newest addition to the golf course, pull tabs, benefiting the fire department. She's had experience in the past with those, so she'll be overseeing that, training staff with that as well. And just a quick history on her. She had been in the past general manager at a Perkins, was promoted to a regional general manager there. Didn't necessarily care for the corporate, what would you call it, framework or so. She also was at the Horse and Hunt Club, hospitality director, which is kind of a larger scale of what we do at the golf course. Our big events are 1 to 200 people. She was dealing with 500 at a time. She had some different visions than the owner did, so is no longer there. She was actually out at St. Patrick as well, and she was their bar manager there for a couple of years too. And it with young children, it kind of got into her, affected her parenting a little bit. But she's very familiar with this area, and we have had great food and beverage coordinators in the past with certain skills, and I just believe Jess has all of them. And like I said to start, I don't know that everything that she encompasses was truly looked at with the comp study. That's why we're asking for an increase to $25. Josh had mentioned a little bit about a full-time position, and my concern right now is until we ramp it up, I don't know that we would have a full 40 hours a week in the off season. Awfully close. She's brought a couple brunches to the facility. We haven't done that for 15 plus years. I guess, but she's kind of heading this, organizing fish fries and some other lunches and stuff too. So I'm, for what it's worth, I'm very impressed with what she brings to the golf course. Her work ethic is excellent, and her customer service, in that position, like I said, we've had some great ones. she's kind of risen to the top of that too, so. I don't know if you guys have any questions on that, but,
What kind of action you want on this with Josh? Do we, a procedure, or is this a actual?
So I would say, yeah, I mean, if the council wants to move forward with this, I would like some sort of action from the council, just because it removes her specifically from kind of the pay scale altogether. We don't really have a step for this, and so,
I'll make the motion to advance her from $20 to $25.
Okay. 1 second. I did talk to Brian Conley today. You know, he manages Creeks Bend. And they do have a full-time person, but they also do lunches every day. And that sort of thing. And the same thing with the Ridges. You know, they're kind of a different model than us right now. I would like to proceed, I know there's a motion, proceed with this, and then maybe as she grows into position and maybe wants to try more things in the winter months, we can maybe address looking at doing a full-time position at that time. But to Kurt's point is that right now, she's starting to do certain things. And we're kind of, the golf board's kind of like, hey, you know, if you're willing to do it, let's try them out and that stuff, because obviously we lost the bingo for those 6 weeks. But I think this is the golf board way of looking at, say, hey, we want to make sure she stays, because when you find someone that we feel that fits the position and is willing to put in the extra miles and gets along with the staff and has grown the staff so that we have, you know, during the summer, we have more waitresses and bar people to help and keep, you know, for tournaments, because we seem to be doing a lot more tournaments and bigger events, and she seems to manage that real well, and she's very personable. So that's just my opinion, coming kind of the consensus that came from the golf board.
I appreciate that. Well, there's a motion, and I will second the motion.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a few questions. You referred to the board approving this. Was this just done last week by the board then?
yes, the board just discussed this. They recommended approval. So yeah, they don't actually have approval authority, they're a recommending body. But yes, just here last week, they recommended this.
I'm just curious why it wasn't talked about in November or December or when we did the.
Well, we didn't
comp
have a
study, but-
December meeting,
Okay.
because there wasn't much on there, so we addressed it the first meeting we had in 2026.
We certainly talk about staff at different levels for different people, but I would, it does make it a little uncomfortable that we're talking about an individual person when we're in such detail that maybe we should just keep our thoughts to the position, because it's really up to Josh as the person responsible for whether someone moves up a step or not.
Yeah, so certainly for me, I feel like this would be more of a position move than a single person move. I don't know, you'd basically be trying to pull this position out, and if for some reason the position ever became vacant, we would hope to hire somebody and almost expect them then to do the work that is kind of being created with the position.
Right, so I'm not close enough to judge the merits of the individual person besides, you know, what you say, so I don't have that. But, I totally support it if Chuck or Josh, I'm not clear if you're recommending us to approve it or not. I don't see that, but what is?
Yes, so,
And also, I just want to mention, Robin's in charge of HR, so I don't know what her opinion, or if that's been funneled through you, or
Correct,
where
no.
we're at with this. So I
So-
just want to make sure we're following the lines of how this, I think, would or should work.
yeah, that's fair. So Robin and I have had extensive discussions about this. My opinion, I would certainly lean towards and I brought this up both to Kurt and Chuck, the full-time position. Having just done the comp study, and I kind of wrote it in here, I'm a little uncomfortable kind of just pulling a position out just months, not even months, into having this approved. That being said, I think that this position itself, whether it's Ms. Trevino or anyone else, certainly lends itself to being someone who can drive increased revenue at the golf course. And that is worth paying a little bit more to get a lot more out of. So if Kurt is telling me that he is not sure that we could find work full-time, especially in the winter months, I would certainly support moving to the $25 an hour. And then even following the mayor's idea that maybe as this evolves and progresses, there might be an opportunity down the road where it does become a full-time position. But at this point, I would certainly not recommend moving to a full-time position if it can't be fully handled. I did put it in the memo here just so we certainly could have that discussion, and thought as well, but if there are certainly not the duties, I would not recommend going to the full-time, but I would certainly recommend pulling it out. And this may be something where, Robin and I have kind of discussions of, do we have to kind of add a small separate pay scale, as we kind of especially look now into the future, for this position, similar to what we used to have for the line and that sort of thing, of creating a smaller step scale outside of the one part-time scale we currently have.
And just to let you know, I made that motion based on the fact that is switched several times in my tender, and, I did it based on his recommendation.
But just so I'm clear then, we're just talking about, this part-time position. We're not talking about adding a different position, which is full-time.
Correct. So yeah, the recommendation coming both from the golf board and from Mr. Ruling, who oversees the department, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, is to keep it a part-time position, but certainly start to build out, and I will work with Robin then on setting up a very, very specific kind of job duties list. But then to move that out of the pay scale, keeping it part-time, to $25 an hour. So
I just want to make it sure
yeah.
we're clear, because we're talking about full-time at the same time, we're talking about, like,
Correct.
sometime in the future, but so everyone knows that if something would happen full-time, we're talking about a new approval through the city council.
Correct.
So there's no misunderstanding there. And then also, just to be clear, we're not, this person got put in this, basically a generic part-time of the matrix. Is our part-time kind of a generic
Yep.
catch-all?
Yes, so we've got one generic part-time catch-all that
Okay.
ranges, yeah,
So
so.
that's why we have kind of an issue going here where we've got probably more responsibilities than typical part-time, and that's what's happening.
Correct, yeah. Prior to this comp study, it was kind of every department had kind of its own informal little pay scale we'd put, and this kind of brought them all together. And then, yes, but you do run into a position where we've got a position like this that tends to have more duties than a normal part-time position.
Okay, well, I totally support it, but I just also want to add the caveat that I've been around long enough to know that food and golf course in New Prague doesn't really always make profit in the history of our golf course, so just to be careful about adding a lot of overhead and being able to understand how that works. And assuming that the budget is going to be able to support this, or are we looking at a change, so material change or anything?
No, I think we're planning to keep the budget hours and that stuff projected. She'll manage that.
Well, I appreciate everyone working together to get this figured out.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? I got a motion by Rick and a second by Maggie. If there's no other comments, questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay, passes 5-0.
Thank you, Kurt.
Appreciate your time, thanks.
Thanks, Kurt. Next, flock camera general discussion. I think, Sean, you wanted this on the agenda?
Just in case it popped up again, I didn't have any specific questions per se, other than, I just wanted to get the council's feeling on where their thought process is with the, releasing of the data that we've had at least one individual that's wanted. And other cities are doing it at a greater extent than we are. And I think that should be probably a council decision as opposed to just the chief of police.
When you say the release of information, are you talking about the public search audit function that Mr. Paulson brought up earlier?
That is correct. That would be one of them.
And Chief Applin, if you have information available at, or are able to talk about it, can you please give me a little bit more information about the public search audit? And I understand that this is being brought up, kind of unannounced based on our council packet, so.
It is, yeah. So no, I don't have anything prepared to tell you.
Okay.
So I don't want to do that and.
I
you
appreciate that.
speak, so I want to make sure that I'm pointed in my response to that. So
Absolutely.
not that I'm trying to, there's a lot, there's not that there's a ton to it, but I don't want to, I want to make sure that I have all the correct information. I wasn't prepared, so I didn't go back and research any of this because
That's
I
fair
wasn't
enough.
aware of any topics that were going to be discussed.
No,
tonight,
fair
so.
enough, because this was not included in our packet, so I can completely appreciate that.
Are you referring?
I don't know, pardon?
Referring to some handout or something?
Yeah,
Previous meeting.
yeah.
That Mr. Paulson gave us.
Oh, that.
Yeah, so that was, at least in my packet, when I reviewed it online, that was not part of the packet. So therefore I wasn't prepared to speak about it, or dive into the state statutes. But it's something that was brought up about the public search audit. So I can't speak to it. I don't know enough about it. And if it wants to go on another future meeting agenda, then perhaps we should discuss it there.
When are you planning to do the annual kind of update of how the first year went? When were you planning to do that, Tim?
As soon as record staff just got the most of the end of the year reporting done. So I'm
Okay.
hoping to get that in the next 2 weeks here to be able to present that. And I was gonna do that at the same time if you're okay with that.
Okay, so we're looking in March, end of March?
I would say early March. I think we
Okay.
could get that in, and then the flock camera audit along with our Axon audits will be happening in March. So we would have, I don't know what the timeline is on that to get that back. I know the last Axon audit we did, it took about 2 weeks to get back, so I can't speak to how long the flock results would take. I can't imagine that it would be much longer than that, but
And we're having the same firm do both?
yeah, yep. I have an agreement that I'm gonna give to Josh for you guys to sign here, so.
Okay.
Well, I just had, I guess, another question. I know that, Mr. Paulson has put in a data request, and just going off what he said earlier, that it's been a couple weeks. Is there a timetable to get the information to him when?
I sent Mr. Paulson an email on January 26th indicating that the information was ready and able to be viewed.
Okay,
So I don't know if you received that or not. I copied Administrator Tetzlaff on an email as well, so.
okay.
It
Is
has
there,
been sent off, and I haven't heard anything back, so.
Okay.
I guess I wasn't.
is there any reason that we wouldn't just release the information to the public? And again, I don't have the specific facts, but I know Mr. Paulson did have some information at a previous meeting that there are cities that are just, it's wide open. Is there a reason that you wouldn't want residents to see?
No, I
Anything?
spoke about it at the last meeting. Again, without being prepared, because nobody said that we were gonna talk about this tonight, or I didn't get any information to prepare or facts to provide you. I'm not gonna speak to that right now because I wanna be accurate and give you the reasons. But no, there is no reason that we wouldn't, other than it creates duplicate work and it creates information that's already available in our audit when that happens.
Okay.
So that information is all published when we do our audit. If somebody wants it prior to that, it can be done through a data request, and they can get it at any time.
Okay, it just seems like he was having problems getting that. I was just kind of curious.
No,
But,
like I said, that, I responded on January 26th, which was within our timeline for Minnesota data practices.
okay,
I guess I kind of have an issue with the city being targeted for certain information. And I'm just gonna spew here because this has been on my mind for a while. You pump gas, you're on a camera. You go to the bank, you're on a camera. You go to a department store, you're on a camera. You go to the drugstore, you're on a camera. You're on the freeway, you're on a camera. So why this microscopic look at New Prague in particular? Because we have cameras. It's not an unheard of technology. We're on camera everywhere. We've got doorbells that have cameras. So I don't understand this heightened concern that New Prague somehow is doing something different with their cameras than anybody else. Do we know that when we're pumping gas, how that data is being used, or we go to the bank or the department store or to the drugstore or the freeway? How do we know how that information is being used? And do we question it? So why New Prague specifically?
I'm not, I could really care less about the flock cameras. I'm doing this on behalf of a constituent that seems like he was having problems getting some information that, according to state statute, is supposed to be available. And that's all I'm bringing it up for. I don't care if I'm on the camera. It doesn't bother me in the least. Like I said, I'm bringing this up to discuss and try to get some answers for a taxpayer.
Okay, no,
the reason that I brought it up.
and I wasn't pointing that question at you specifically, Sean.
Oh, okay.
It's just in general, I just don't understand what the concern is. Our faces are being, pictures are being taken everywhere. You know, we go to a federal building, we go to a state building, I mean, it's just, what is the big deal?
Yeah, I can't answer
And
that.
I can't answer the question.
Yeah.
And so we're spending so much time and money and time getting information that just doesn't make sense to me unless there's a very specific reason. There's some incident that happened that somebody wants some information. And we already have processes in place for that to happen. And we've heard about that from some previous concerns. So I don't get it. And money is being spent by the city to provide information, and that really irritates me unless that information is for a very specific reason. So, there's my rant. I'm just
Well, I
tired
totally
of it.
agree, and I'd like to know why this got on the agenda. I mean, there's nothing to discuss. Why is it on the agenda?
There is something to discuss.
Why, that can be done, that can be
done.
done outside the council. That does not have to be brought to the council. And it doesn't need to be put on the agenda.
Well, it wasn't that long ago that the city of New Prague was sued because we had police officers looking up private data information, and it wasn't just New Prague, it was widespread throughout the state
For cameras?
No,
for looking up information.
it wasn't cameras.
And and New Prague was one of the communities that we had law enforcement with no reason looking up celebrities, looking up state legislatures, looking up private people's data on their work computer, and it cost the city money.
Yeah, I agree, and that's
So-
wrong, so.
So there is a reason that data should be available to make sure that we're not being put in a position by them somehow abusing that information that they have. So,
And we've got processes in place, we have procedures in place, we have a contract with Flock. We know what this information is being used for, the camera information is being used for. And I'm sure that Chief Applin, with the update coming up, will provide us a very good overview of how that information is being used. So I'm just, I'm tired of the conversation. I'm tired of our police personnel and administrative people having to provide information when there's no clear reason as to what this person wants with this information. So I'm just gonna end it at that.
Okay. Well, I guess, the way I see it is we will, when Chief Afflin brings back after the audits and it gives us statistics. We can address other issues or any questions regarding the information, but as long as, Tim, as you're fulfilling the obligation and when you get a request, I guess that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I did respond and, you know, was in communication with the city attorney about it and it, you know.
Okay.
I did respond, the 26th, looking at the email right in front of me.
Okay, thank you. Looking forward to that information. Now we're at miscellaneous.
Nothing.
Rick, Bruce?
I was just curious as to, I forget the description or what that software was that we purchased for document storage. How that-
Laserfish.
Laserfish.
How's that going? Are we using it? Does it, you have a system?
Yes, we are currently in the implementation phase. I know right now we're getting a few choice staff currently outfitted with scanners on their desks, so we can start kind of working immediately on getting some of that. I also know that when we have various city employees go on light duty, we've kind of got a plan in place to kind of get them working for us, scanning papers. As much as it's not fun, it allows us to keep them moving. So it is going well. I don't believe it's fully implemented yet at this point, but Robin and her team are working diligently on that.
Kind of the planning of how you're gonna do it and outline of it anyway.
Yeah, so especially I know her and Alyssa Shopacombe, the administrative coordinator, have really been working on the organizational structure behind it, because a big part of that is once you get it, how are documents being labeled, folder structures, that way it all comes out the same, because it doesn't work if everybody is labeling things differently. So they're, working on that whole background of how we as a city will start labeling stuff, organizing that and whatnot.
That's all I have.
Okay. Maggie?
No, sir.
Johnny? Josh, you anything?
Nothing further, no.
Ken? Tim? Mitch? You good? Patrick? You're good too? I just have a couple quick things. Ken, do you have this map? Are you aware of what's going on with this?
Yeah, actually, I've been in contact with Aaron Stubbs with LeSueur County kind of throughout the comp plan process, been to a number of meetings and open houses that they've had before. So, yeah, I think the main discussion that I had with Aaron on this was they want to make sure that nothing in their future land use plan will hinder our growth and development within our growth boundary. So that was kind of the point of, hashing out that area, is to make sure that they don't have any land use that will basically allow a bunch of rural development to happen that would cause us financial hardship to develop as a city in the future. So that was kind of the point of what they're putting here, not only us, but like Montgomery and all the other cities, so, yes.
Okay.
Ken has an example on that, and I just had a question that, because that land that we bought on contract for deeded farms that we rent is zoned industrial, if I'm looking at the map correctly.
Yes, you are correct.
I'm not, would you say, you say zoning, or how, what is, what is it?
So guided industrial, yeah, for
So
the
this is LeSueur County's.
LeSueur County's comp plan, and ultimately they're gonna work on their, or zoning ordinance will go hand in hand with this as well, but that is what they have it guided as. We have it guided as, business flex. I had to think of the right word.
Okay, that
for
was my question, because if we would use it for a soccer field or something, that's not a big change or issue.
No, not for our, city land use, no.
It's interesting then that we have that as industrial. What, any benefit to making it bigger red, or?
We can always look, you can, depending on, what kind of development proposal may come in the future, we can always change the land use plan and,
Yeah,
but at this point, yeah, being business flex, that does provide a flexible quasi-industrial, quasi-business type use there, so.
Any other questions? One other thing, back, I don't know, a few years ago when we had that massage for you issue. My question, I wasn't on the council at that time, was there ever a thought about making massages, parlors, having to get licensed in the city? I know other cities do that. And I don't know if that would have been done, if it would have maybe stopped this problem, this issue, or?
I guess I can say that we have not discussed that.
Okay,
And I don't know if any council members had ever had those discussions prior to me, but it's certainly something we can look at.
yeah,
I do know that the city of Lakeville does require a license. I'm actually a massage therapist, and during a baseball tournament, I provided my services, and I did have to get a license. And you have to have proof of your schooling in particular, and then some, other credentials. I think it could certainly be something to look into. I know we have a number of massage therapists here in the city, and at that time, I think that the license was $25, but it was just more of a little bit of a background check, and ensuring that
yeah.
You're
your
probably gonna
credentials are.
call every couple of weeks from somebody looking to, hey, I'm gonna be in town, do I need a license for
Yeah.
that? So I do actually have quite a bit of research I've done on that in the past, cause 5-10 years ago, a lot of people, were getting into this, and then cities were putting an ordinance in place, so,
Yeah.
yeah, we can definitely.
I know Savage has one in two. I don't know
Yeah.
about Prior Lake or
And
Belle Plaine or Jordan, but,
And you think of, like stylists, anyone that cuts hair, an esthetician, they have to have a state license.
right,
So, as a massage therapist, I certainly would feel better if my clientele knew that I was licensed within the city. I think it just gives a little bit more
State doesn't
legis-
license?
They do not in the state of Minnesota. Other states do require state license, and there's also, I think the state of Florida requires something at a higher level. I'm trying to remember for my schooling, but I can't, but, yeah. So, yeah, to your point, Mayor, I think it's worth looking into. I think it just gives legitimacy to the profession.
Are you thinking of a part-time gig or something?
you don't want these.
I was gonna go somewhere else with it.
Yeah.
There's no
Bruce,
charges
Bruce, I
pending,
can
is
get my
there?
hands around your neck. Okay, I didn't have anything else, so if we don't have anything else, I'll go make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a second by Rick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, thank you, everyone.
I have to go to the bathroom again. I drank a lot of coffee today.
You're wired too, then. You're not going to sleep.
I have not hollered once.
No, when it came back to that backdating thing, that's how the systems when I work with people and businesses, you have a system, whenever you pay it.